is your thing?
Alright, we are now live. You want to talk to your You're on in 1 minute.
Hello, we are live. Get tuned in. We're getting ready for our first episode. Share, what are you doing?
I'm gonna take a thing. I'm gonna mute it.
Play it by the way.
Alright, we're going live. Now.
I don't know what's happening.
What's doing?
Come on in. It's our first Thursday with Jamila. How's everybody doing this evening? Share, you gotta dance with music.
Hi. Oh, sorry.
Hello, hello. So welcome everyone to our very first Thursday with Jamila by way of Blessed Beats. I am so excited about this new venture, one that I'm not even gonna lie, I was a little bit nervous and apprehensive about, so I'm so excited to be able to be living this dream out. And I brought my very best friend along with me. Say hi, Shadira. Hey. We are going to be talking about betting on me this evening, and I felt like it was the most appropriate topic to launch the show with. One, because doing the show was a betting on me moment for myself. I had to decide that I was going to pursue despite the barriers that I actually put on myself. Everyone was saying you can do it, but there's this point in which you have to believe in your own capabilities and not just depend on what other people are saying. And so as many people are making their New Year's resolutions and people are getting out their goals and the things that they hope to tackle in 2019, it's just like I mentioned on the mock show a couple days ago. You can have all of that lined out, but if you don't first believe in your own ability to get those things done, the likelihood of it happening is pretty slim to none. So I want to kick it your way, Shadira, and ask you, what is a betting on me moment that you can recall?
So, hi guys. First, honestly, what sticks out in my mind at this moment is me doing an album. Some people know that I have an album. Some people don't. So that moment was a selfish moment,
Okay.
but it was a moment that I needed to have. I come from a very Christian, some may say strict background.
Very strict.
And so my album that I put out was definitely not gospel. It was more neo soul. But it totally went against what my background is and what my family stands for, and so I was nervous because a part of me was like, girl, whew, don't put your business on the street. Your mom and daddy gonna be listening to this. Sorry, mom. Can't take this back once it's out. But it was something that I needed to do for myself because it was a moment that I felt like this is gonna be my way of letting go some of the anger and some of the pain that I dealt with from the past, and it was my way of relief. It was what I needed to do, and so I did it. I bet on myself. I did it. The parents are fine, for those that are wondering. They actually liked the album. So it was one of those things where had I not done it, I wouldn't have been healed today, I don't think. I think I needed that moment.
Let me ask you this. I'm gonna answer it after I ask you. But do you feel like you ever lose when you choose you?
No.
Why not?
I don't. Because I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible to choose you. Now, I think there are moments where it can be selfish. It can be viewed as selfish to choose you. But it depends on your why. Let me say that. It depends on why you're choosing yourself.
Okay.
So the why matters. If you're choosing yourself because this is something that you need for healing, or something that you need to better yourself, or something that you need to progress in life, then no, you can't not win.
Right.
Now, if you're choosing you out of, you know, being spiteful or malicious or any of those things, then yeah.
But I would venture to say that when your motive is that, it's not for you, it's for them. Because at the core of it, if I'm choosing me, it is to get myself from point A to point B. At the point where I have some ill intent or malicious ideas behind why I'm choosing, then really I'm choosing to prove them wrong or to throw it back in their faces, and it's not really about me at that point.
That's true.
And so I agree, you have to have the why in place of why you're choosing you, and I think it helps you keep your integrity. When I have a clear conscience about why I'm moving in this direction, and I stop needing the validation outside of me, my why keeps me centered, it keeps me focused, and it keeps me integral. So that puts us into our first point, and I want to talk about doubt, self-doubt, and how we tackle it before it even starts. And I think, well, I'm gonna go with I know. The majority of the reason why we do not start a thing is because we do not believe in our capability or our capacity to fulfill a thing. And I think a lot of that is triggered by previous experiences, negative self-talk, what people have said to us, the lies that we believe about ourselves. And so what are some of the ways that you have learned to overcome negative talk and self-doubt?
First, I will say the most important for me, I'm a very social person, and so I kind of gained strength from those that I have in my circle. And so I am very, very picky about those that I let into my life. And I am that way because I kind of thrive, and I kind of let the people that are in my life push me in ways that I know when I can't push myself, I depend on those people in my life. And so that's one way. Some of the other things that I kind of take note of, like if I feel like I am not betting on myself, I will ask myself a question, and I'll say, you know, is this something that you want to say no to, that you end up saying yes to? Like I kind of question myself, like, okay, why am I wanting to do this, or why am I not wanting to do this? If I can't explain why I don't want to do it, then I really need to go into the why I'm trying to do it. Because the why, for me, keeps me on task with betting on myself, and keeps me focused on what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish. So I'll definitely ask questions, and I try not to put off or give myself too much time to figure out the why.
Okay.
Because I'm a procrastinator. I am the queen of procrastination, and I know I am. And so if I put something off to tomorrow and say, okay, well, I have a plan, but I'm gonna have a perfect plan tomorrow, I guarantee you tomorrow will never come.
Okay, so let's talk about the perfect plan, because perfection and perfectionism and pride are very much intertwined. And the reason I say that is because if we feel like we can't do a thing perfectly, then we don't do a thing. And the only reason we want it done perfectly is because of how it will be viewed or portrayed by other people. And so we put off things because we doubt that we have the ability to make it perfect or measure up to somebody else's degree of success or description of success. And so one of the things that I know to be true when it comes to self-doubt is I've got to think about the lie that I choose to believe. And so and a lot of that comes with, you know, past failures, not giving yourself the grace to understand that you're not going to always get it right, but that doesn't mean that you lack the ability to get it right. You may just have to fall a few times and stumble a few times, but you've got to still believe enough in yourself to push past what you failed at. Like one of the quotes that I stumbled across last year and I live by to this day is, you are worth more than your last mistake. And so when I'm trying to think about the things that I'm doubtful of, I have to remember that I'm worth more than my last mistake. Like, I may have gotten it wrong, but it doesn't mean that I'm incapable or inadequate or don't have the skills to get past it. Like, what did the mistake teach me? Was it a teachable moment for me? And so I think that's important.
So do you feel like when you are downing on yourself, what brings you out of that? Is there a person? Is there something that, like, are you a person that go into your closet and kind of give yourself a pep talk? Like, how do you get out of that self-doubt?
For me, I have to first attack the reason of, like, what's the source of the doubt? I have to be honest with myself about what's triggering that, because I have triggers and I'm very much aware of those things. And the first thing that I do before I solicit input from anybody else, I have to be honest about what's triggering and driving the doubt first and foremost. And then we're people, and I would be lying to say that you don't sometimes need somebody to validate your point. I feel like that is like so far from the truth. Sometimes you do need somebody to substantiate how you feel. And so once I've addressed kind of the driver of the doubt, I will ask people. Now, do I talk to a whole lot of people? No. No. I have a good journal. I have a few key people that I will go to. But after that, it's kind of like, I hear you. I've taken what you said, I've journaled, and I've addressed the why. But then when it comes to the mobility to get past it, I have to push myself. Because I'm a person that I can hear what you say, but until I'm convicted and believe fully in what you're saying, I'm not moving past it. And so it's a threefold for me.
Okay.
So our next point that I want to talk about here, after talking about self-doubt and how we're getting past it, I think it's imperative that you highlight the good. And one of the things that I did even today, I went and got my grateful jar. Do you remember I made that?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't even care. It's corny, but I really, even though it was so small and it may not seem like a big deal, like when I was intentional about highlighting the good, like it really did kind of alter my mood about some stuff. And so today I pulled my grateful jar out of the shelf, or off the shelf, my bookcase. I emptied the things that were in there, and I put a new one in there today. And I remembered like how good it made me feel. And I remember when I would journal my every day, my intention and the things that I was grateful for. And just because I was grateful for it didn't mean it was a perfect condition. So sometimes you have to just be honest about, no, it's not all perfect, and no, it's not all well and good, but if there's still breath in it, there's life. And it can be revitalized, and it can be made into something that's beautiful, something that's worthy of praise, that's worthy of honor. And so I pulled my grateful jar out. I put something that I was going to be grateful for today in there, and I was like, you know what? It's good. You got to get those endorphins going. Because if we talk about everything that went wrong today and don't think about one thing good, what is that doing to our morale?
It's true. It brings it down.
I mean, we have enough people telling us what we're not.
Yeah.
We have enough stimulants coming at us about negativity, but who's talking about the good?
You don't, nobody is.
Right? And so if we're always dependent on somebody else to highlight our good, whoa.
Yeah, that's true.
Whoa. Because who knows everything about you? Who knows the thing that you felt was a win today? Because just because you think it's a win, other people might not praise it, but you don't know. You know what it took for you to get that. You know what it took for you to conquer that. And I would love to see more people just, I don't care if it's, you know what? I did not go over budget today. Let's clap it up for them.
Listen,
clap it up
that
for
over
me.
budget though.
Listen, let's clap it up for them.
Amen to that. I praised myself when I had an extra glass of water.
Amen.
Because she doesn't like drinking water all the time.
But we need to be hydrated.
You know, it's the little things. I agree. Now, for those that are not journalers, it's not even a word. For those that do not journal, for those that do not journal, we are like people. Okay, you are people after my own heart, because I am not about that writing. It's too much. I can't remember, and then I will lose journals. Like, girl, I have so many journals that I've lost. So for me, it's not so much about writing. Like, she did try, and God bless her heart, tell me to go get a mason jar and write down something that I did good for the day and put it in there, and girl, come back later and pull it back out. That mason jar turned into a tea jar. I started making tea out of it. Everything but the paper went in that. So for me, you know, like I said, I depend a lot on my friends. So when I do something good for the day, I will call a friend and be like, hey, girl, guess what I did today? I didn't spend that extra $3 on a bag of chips. Amen.
Really?
Because new year, new me. No, just
No.
kidding.
I can't stand that. And you are the same you, okay? It is just a new year.
But those little small victories, I try and tell somebody so that sometimes when I'm so low that I can't remember, because let me tell you, in life, sometimes you can get so low that you can't remember the good that you did. Like everything you remember, because for us as humans, what we tend to remember is what we didn't do. We don't typically remember what we did. Like
Right.
I can't tell you last year a lot of the things that I accomplished because I won't remember. But let me tell you who will.
I will.
This one right here. She gonna remember every little detail. Remember when you did? And I was like, I did that. And then I get happy all over again. So for those that don't journal, make sure you have a cheerleader in your corner that will keep you reminded, like, hey, keep you balanced. Because, you know, what I call it balancing negative behaviors or balancing negative thoughts. Because for me, I will get so inundated with what I didn't do and what I didn't accomplish. Like, oh God, I did not drop those 15 pounds that I wanted to last year. And here we are, January 10th. Are we on the 10th? Yes. And I'm still haven't dropped not even 1 pound.
Totally
but it's
okay.
fine because what I did do was increase my water.
Come on.
Amen.
Amen.
So there you go. I mean,
that's a win.
So I mean, you know, you gotta have your cheerleaders in your corner. That's important.
Yeah, and then and we also need people who help us with our humility, right?
Yeah.
Because then there can be the opposite end of that. Like there could be the person who is the over communicator of all things great, and they don't realize that hey, although yes, those are some great characteristics about your life, here are some things that maybe could help you stay grounded in those things. And so you need people that are that you can be honest about where you are in life, but then you can be open to what they have to say. Because I think not telling people the truth is a disservice, and it stifles their growth. Because if I only tell you what you did well, and I overlook the things that we probably could work on, I'm doing you a disservice. So then when you get into a situation where those areas that we're not fully developed in need to be called to the forefront, I set you up for failure. And that's not about me being negative, but they are good qualities, but they need to be cultivated. They need to be groomed so that you can be a better you.
Yeah.
And I think that's important too. So I like it. But I do want to say, hey y'all, for those who are listening, I think the mason jar idea, it may not be for everybody.
It's a great idea.
But I think it's a great idea because you're not going to remember everything about 2019 come December 31st, right? But even if you only had like 10 things is better than 0. And when you start to have your celebration and you talk about what 2019 beheld for you and you pull out those 10 things, those are 10 things that you get to celebrate. Those are 10 wins that you get to say, you know, despite what didn't happen, this did. And I'm going to celebrate my accomplishments. I mean, and maybe waiting 12 months is too long. Maybe you need to do it quarterly, depending on, you know, the highlight that you need.
Or monthly. I was just going to say this year I decided that we all know that I am not great with the mason jar and the paper. However, I love the idea of taking a dry erase marker and every month I write on my mirror in my bathroom, because we are all looking in the bathroom at the mirror every morning, every day. I write down what I accomplished for that month. And it stays up there until I accomplish something else. So that kind of keeps me well aware. So it's still writing, but it's not me losing the paper, because we all know I don't do
and
well
the thing
with paper.
and the thing that keeps you motivated is to see the accomplishment presented before you. Like whatever works for you, keep it in the forefront. Some people, I got in one of my little sister's car, and that baby had Post-its everywhere.
I'm here for the Post-its.
She had Post-its in the rearview mirror. I said, girl, if somebody comes up behind us, it is a done deal. But that was her that was her way of getting it done, and it was just reminders and like There are apps that are out there that will pop up with an affirmation or something just to keep you motivated. But whatever you need to do to keep the good in your face, do that, because the world is coming at us with everything that they say we're not all the time. You know what I mean? And one of the assignments that I always give out is write down the things that you ruminate on. Talk about those negative things and then counter them with the truth. And every time that falsehood presents itself, you're armed with something to disarm that lie, right? And I think, but the longer we remain unaware and the longer we remain ignorant to the devices, we will always be susceptible to the pit that negativity will drag us down into. Like, you have to arm yourself, okay? And you can't always depend on other people to do it, because there will be a time when they don't answer the phone. There's going to be a time when they were too busy. There's going to be a time when there's just going to be you. And you have to build up enough momentum and strength to dig yourself out of the rut.
Right.
And then another thing we all need to know, and y'all know this is one of my favorite things, you are not for everybody. Okay? You're not everybody's cup of tea. Okay? You have to learn to be okay with that. I read a book last year, and it was The Esther Anointing. And it talked about kingly assignment, and it talked about how she had a designated tribe assigned to her sound, okay? And her silence would have been to their demise. And I would even say to us, we are all assigned to a tribe. They will not hear what you do not say. So those who are assigned to your sound are listening, and those who are not, they hear you, but they may not be influenced by whatever it is that you're presenting, and that's okay. What do you have to say?
I agree, because I mean, they may not be in the same spot that you're in, or may not be influenced by what you have to say. But for everyone that isn't influenced, there's like 3 that have experienced the same thing, or maybe they're in the same place as you, and so you can kind of join together. And shameless plug, or not so shameless, Brunch of Girls. Prime example. You started this because you were having these conversations with all of us, these same conversations at the same time, which is really amazing. It's amazing how you can have a group of women and all of you guys are kind of in the same area of life at the same time, and you don't realize it until you bring everybody together. So you brought everybody together, and now here we are, still friends after all these years, and we help build each other. Like when I self-doubt, like for jobs, girl, I really want this promotion, but I don't think I can do it. Or, you know, I'm working in a field that's predominantly men, and I'm the only female, so what do? Like, I don't think they're going to give me the job. And you start to have all these moments where you're just thinking every possible thing that can go wrong. When you come with your friends or your girlfriends, or even the people that you just met, it can be somebody you just met down the hallway on the elevator, then you realize, wait a minute, she's going through the same thing, and you guys uplift each other. So for sure.
And I mean, that, I'm glad you pointed to that, because the one thing that I feel like the tribe does is continue to build you up where you may need like strengthening, but then they can also give you tools for what's ahead, right? You've got to have people who see where you're going, who believe in where you're going, and they will invest in what's to come, right? Like if you don't have friends who can identify their role in your future, you need new friends. Okay, let me say that again, and I mean that, because if you don't, like if you can't see me beyond today, and you can't invest in me beyond today, where exactly are we going? Is this a day-by-day thing? Are you really my tribe? Or are you just alone for whatever the high is of the day? You know what I mean? Like those are things that we have to be mindful of, because people will be in your life for seasons. And we had this conversation. We had a very transparent conversation about having to learn how to be good friends. And no matter the season that you're in, but being honest about your personal season and then the relational season, right? Because what you feel is working, just because it's always words, may be dated. It may be time for some some assessments. You may need to take some inventory about, hey, I felt like I was being a good friend for you, but
I really wasn't.
I wasn't, clearly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's necessary to have people in your life that will push you and that can see you beyond where you see yourself. I also feel like there are people that you need in your life that can tell you, like, hey girl, come back. Because no, that ain't your path. That's not your path. I know that's where you want to go. I know that's what you're trying to do. But no. Let's back that up some. And maybe we take another route. And that is important to me because I feel one of those friends. I will grab you by that little shoulder pad real quick. Like, wait a minute, girl, hold up. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. And I think that's just as important. Like, you need to be able to tell me. I need friends in my circle that will tell me, no, that's a mess. And no, you need to go another way. Or maybe we need to pray about it. That's my favorite. Girl, we need to pray. Let's pray about this situation. That means no. Don't do that.
Not what that means. That means you
with
do
my circle of friends, that
pray.
means don't go that way, girl. That means Jesus has told me, and I need him to tell you, and you're not listening to him, so I'm going to send you back to your prayer closet.
That's not
so
what that means when
hear.
I say I pray for you because I'm praying for you. Glory be. Because, maybe we just need to talk with Jesus to make it all right. I don't know. But let's pause for a second. But that's when you got to know your role. So let's just talk about our roles because Shatera is very... Shatera is the boisterous one in the tribe. I'm more of I'm the quieter one. I'm not quiet. I'm not a mute. But I am the quieter one.
That is true.
Thank you.
But we need that balance.
We need that balance.
Yeah, we need
because Shatera is a lot when...
Wait a minute.
But let me explain what I mean. Like, she comes into it, like, the one thing that I admire about you is you are very sure, even if you're not sure.
Oh, you will never know I'm unsure.
She's very sure, and so her approach to the conversation is one that is backed with confidence, that she would have to kind of be like, Jamila, if you just believed, or you had a little bit more confidence, or you can't do this, right? Or you don't have to just be a doormat. And so I admired that. That was an admirable characteristic that I thank you over the years. Like, I'm working on it, but like, she's very sure. And so if she believes a thing and she has a conviction for a thing, and so in our tribe, she's the sure. What's my role?
I think you've gotten a lot better. So in the beginning, Jamila was very, very quiet. Like, and it was a quiet I didn't even understand. I was like, what is wrong with you, girl? Say something. Like, this is your moment. Say what it is you want. Like, if you want something, say it. This is how I work. If I want something, the first thing I'm going to find out is, why do I want this? Like, why is this important to me? If I can answer why this is important to me, then I'm going for it. And nobody will be able to deter me the other way, as long as I know the why. With Jamila, she's more like, okay, this is really why I want to do it, but I'm still unsure because I'm unsure like what this is going to look like. I don't know if, this person's going to view me differently, whereas I don't care. I don't care how you view me. It is what it is. I am who I am, and that's who I'm going to be. And so I think Jamila in our tribe she's come a long way, because now now I'm kind of like, whoa, girl, you got too much of me in you. Hold up, wait a minute. But it's nice because she allows you to see, I'm going to kind of run with it and go despite how it may hinder me later. And Jamila's one that will see, okay, wait a minute, if we go down this road, she just gonna run head first into this wall. And she's gonna say, wait a minute, there's a wall there, honey. You sure you wanna go? Maybe we should pray. That's what she's gonna do. She's gonna say, said, maybe we should pray, don't go hit that wall. And I'm going to be like, no, girl, we're going to jump right over that wall. And she's like, no, that wall's really high. So that's the role she kind of plays in that. She's kind of like the watcher. She'll sit back and kind of say, okay, well, if she's going to go down this road, let me go pray and let me make sure that this is where we need to be going.
Yeah.
And then if it is, you're all in. Like,
all in.
She is
when
all
I'm
in. And let me tell you, even when there are times where I'm like, okay, girl, I said I was going to do this, but I changed my mind. She's like, no, we're doing it. If you didn't got me this far, I'm all in, we're going. So that's kind of the role that you play.
Yeah, I agree. Sure. I won't argue that. I think that, and I feel like that's important to know how you serve in your tribe.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know how you serve in your tribe, I don't think that you'll be able to serve well. And I just kind of want to add context, a little bit of context around kind of like my description, because we're talking about betting on you, right? And the one reason why I would be incredibly apprehensive, or I was a more cautious friend or a reserved friend, is because I felt like I didn't have room to fail. If we want to be very honest, I never really felt like there was a lot of room to fail. Like, I felt like a lot of life was this uphill climb of proving. And so once you get to a point, it's like, okay, we mastered this level. We're here. We're stable. It's safe. Why do we want to rock the boat? It's safe here. We've made it here. And so, but sometimes I needed somebody to remind me, okay, yeah, it's safe here and you've gotten here. But look what all you went through to get here. You have a lot of tenacity in you. Don't you think we can go a little further? Like, look how far you've come. You can go a little further.
Yeah.
Keep trying, keep pushing, keep going for it. And so I'm thankful for people who taught me and shown me by example that yes, you've gotten this far. Look how far you've come. Stop doubting your capability to go the extra mile. And if you need help, we'll hold your hand while you do so.
Yeah, that's important. I think the reason why you are this way is just because of your childhood growing up.
Yeah.
And so having any kind of deficiency with hearing or sight or any of those things, you get to a moment where you're like, ooh, I made it. I'm successful. Let's not rock the boat.
Please,
I worked very hard to get here. And so whereas for me as a child, I didn't have there were no limits. And so I was just kind of like, oh, I'm going for this, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that. I mean, I was all over the place. I was trying to do everything. And so I'm glad that I could show you, like, okay, you can move past this point. You've mastered this. You can now go this. Like, you can go here. You can be on the radio with deficiency. And be fine. And she's taught me that, girl, you can master this one thing before you try and run the 8 other things.
Just one.
Like, you can rest here for now.
Just a little.
So,
just a little.
We bring balance. And I think everybody's tribe, one, you need to know where you are in your tribe. You need to know what you bring to the table and how you better your tribe. And then 2, you need to hear the other person. Like, this wouldn't work if I only listened to myself. If I didn't stop to hear what you had to say, honestly, even when I didn't like it. Because let me tell you, there have been times where I've not talked to her for a day, or maybe just an hour.
That was a long 60 minutes too. But I think that that's important because you need people who will be brave enough to show you. Right? Despite the reprimand that may come. And I know that that's not something that I really enjoy doing. I don't necessarily want to show you always, right? Like I don't. I don't because we're just being honest, right? This is just a girls having conversation. But a lot of the reason why I don't really want to necessarily show people you or show people themselves is because I got a lot of stuff that I'm working on. And who am I to show you when I need to work on me? And so sometimes I feel like, people are like, well, who are you to say? Or what gives you room to say when you are not all together? Like, look at what you got going on.
Right.
And then the thing about it that makes me nervous at times is I already have things that are things for me. Like, I don't say anything to me about my speech. I already know that that's a thing. Or please don't ask me why I missed a cue to something. Well, you know I probably didn't hear it. And so those are things that I don't want people to point out. And then I think what we tend to do is like we joke about it or we make light of it to try to get in front of it when it's really an area that we're really not confident in.
Yeah, you're sensitive. It's your sensitive area. But you need that because but it's easier for me, like it's easier for you to see where I'm lacking sometimes, whereas I may not be able to see that. So you can't be so comfortable in not wanting to show somebody else them, because what you see isn't, you're the outside looking in. I'm gonna miss some things. I'm gonna think, cause listen, sometimes I think I'm just the greatest ever. I'm joking.
She's not. No, that was
But
true.
there are moments where I may not see what you see, and let me just tell you, she does a very good job at it. And then I have another friend who, God bless his heart, does a great job at saying, no, let me show you. And that is the hardest thing. That is one of the hardest things to see. And that also can become an obstacle too. When someone is trying to show you yourself and you not wanting to see the things that you need to get out of the way in order to bet on yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like there are things that I know that I lack in, and the things that I lack in stops me from betting on myself. But I have friends like you and him who will come and be like, excuse me, you see this right here? You need to work on that, because it's a deficiency. And I'm pointing out the deficiency so that you can fix it. So that going forward, we don't have this issue. You're going to have other issues. I'm going to have plenty of other issues. But that one issue won't be mine.
Right. Okay, so I want to talk about something, and then we're going to cut away to a quick song. But the one thing that I want to ask you, and then I want to follow up with it after the song, but what's one thing that has kept you from betting on you? One thing.
One thing?
Yep.
Fear of failure.
Okay.
Fear of failure. So it can be something that I'm really good at. That I can be like, singing. That's easy. Had an album. I went through that months and months. Like I wrote songs. I prepared myself. But before I released that album, I was like, nope, I'm not doing this. Because it was a fear. It was a fear that people weren't going to receive it. It was a fear that I wasn't going to sound like Jasmine Sullivan, which I do not. But it was a fear that people were going to be like, oh, she sounded a mess. It was a fear that people would judge me by the story that I was conveying in that album. That was a very personal moment. And it was a moment that it can be deemed, something that you want to hide. Like the album was mostly about divorce.
Okay.
Divorce in church is a hard thing.
It's a hard topic.
It's a hard topic, and it wasn't something at the time that people were sharing. And so fear made me stagnant, and fear made me not bet on myself. But I had a person to come and say, you know what? As afraid as you may be, I'm gonna go ahead and release this album anyway. That album was released not by my choice. That album was released by the person that helped me with the album. He came in and was like, guess what? The album's out. And I was like, what? What do you mean? And so I needed the push. So that fear of failure will stop me. Fear of what other people may think. As confident as I am, I still struggle with that.
I think a lot of people do. I don't think that, and the only reason why I say I feel like a lot of people do, and I don't feel like it's going away anytime soon. I feel like it's a way to keep one humble, in a sense. Because at the point where I don't always feel like I'm the best, or I'm the person who can achieve it with minimal effort, or I start to think more of myself than I ought, my humility begins to get pricked and stripped away a little bit. And so sometimes knowing that, hey, the possibility of not getting this off the exact way that you hoped is a possibility. But it'll teach you to kind of put 10 toes to the ground and just do it anyway. You may be shaking, you may need some reinforcement, but there's a humility that comes with it. Now, I would say that, or ask the question, is the fear of failure driven by people's expectations of you or your expectations of yourself?
Both.
Both.
But for me, I tend to care more about myself because, I've been in situations like, once you failed once, you're just kind of like, look, I've already messed up. What's another mistake? It's just throwing under my bag as a mistake to other people. Like, in my mind, I view it like, listen, I've already made a mistake. They already think I'm a failure. Who cares? But for me personally, it's about myself. Right. It's about myself, and then I'm going to throw another one in there for me, my children now. So before, people are people. People are going to hate you. Some will love you. It's what it is. But when you have children and you bring them into the picture and they're seeing your failure, it brings a whole nother playing field for me. Yeah. So it's about myself, but in myself, I'm looking at my children like, God, have I failed them as a mother? Like, are they looking at me like, ooh, she is a mess? So,
and I just want to stop you right there because I feel like this is the moment where I need to just be Jamila. I know we're on air and Facebook Live, yeah. But you have children who admire you as a mom. We had this conversation the other day, and I said, your kids think you're the cool mom. And you're like, no, they don't. And I was right. They think you're the cool mom. But here's the thing. Like, the one thing that I will say to you, having grown up in a home where my mother was the parent, even in her failure, I was proud of her.
Yeah. And
I was proud of her because she was showing me that even if I have to do it with just me, it'll get done. It may not always be perfect, but it will get done. I'm going to do what I can for you. I'm going to, definitely ensure that your safety and all those things at the forefront of my mind while showing you that you can accomplish things that everybody said you couldn't. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to remind you that those girls think the world of you. There are a lot of people who think the world of you because there are people who wish that they could pull themselves up by the bootstraps as you have and continue to lead a successful life and raise incredibly smart and brilliant children. So you're doing a great job. They're pretty smart. They're doing very well.
And I will say that my kids did say, there was one time that sticks out in my mind. I think Sydney had to have been maybe 11, and she's like, Mom, I don't have another mom to compare you to. So how do I know if you messed up? And I was like,
Facts.
You're so smart for an 11-year-old. I can't believe I created that. Took all the credit.
That's if she didn't have a song. So we're going to go on, cut away to a song really quickly. We're going to go back through and look at some of your Facebook commentary. One of the questions I would like for you guys to chime in on, if you are logged into Facebook Live, I would like you to answer the question, what is one thing that keeps you from betting on you, and how are you countering that in 2019? All right? Quick song break. We'll be right back. Let's see some of this commentary here.
Are we off?
No, the song's not going.
You're good.
We're good.
Your mics are off. Oh, but they can still see you.
Yeah, they can hear. So this right here, Who Moved the Cheese?
That's Mark. Yeah, he was saying that's a really good book. Who Moved My Cheese?
Mm-hmm.
A good book to help you understand how to avoid complacency and keep moving forward. Even when you feel
we
sad.
had to read that book at my last job. All of the senior leadership had to read it. And so, that's a good one. But, like, how do you keep up the momentum? How do you continue to just... Have you read it?
What was the question?
Yeah, asking what the question is.
The question is, what is one thing that keeps you from betting on you? One thing that keeps you from betting on you.
So one of the viewer said a good book is Who Moved My Cheese, and it helps people understand how to avoid complacency and keep moving forward.
You know, I love good books, so that's one that I think that we should maybe look into.
Yeah, we should definitely. I am not much. I do love reading, but I like audibles better.
Audibles are good.
Yeah, I need something I can listen to in the car because who are we kidding? When I'm home, I'm asleep.
Okay, Cara, answer this question since you just logged in. What is one thing that keeps you from betting on you? Answer that question. Mark, we want your answer, just not your response. What's your answer?
he was writing it in the comments, I think.
Okay. I love the song. Well, I'll answer. One thing that keeps me from betting on me is not feeling like I'm enough. Like, and some people might argue like, what? You're the lady with the I am enough t-shirt.
Hence why we have the t-shirt.
Hence why we have the t-shirt. And so I think that I've even had to learn to live out my own affirmations because it's something that I needed to remind myself of a lot. I didn't always feel like I was enough, and so sometimes it's not just fashion for me, sometimes it's a reminder for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always felt like there's somebody more qualified, there's somebody else who maybe can convey the message better than I can, or there's somebody who's called or more anointed or whatever the measurable was. I always felt like me being me was never just enough.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to learn that if I just settle in my identity, that enough is enough. All right?
That's true.
Enough is enough. So we'll come back. Maybe we'll get some of y'all's comments later on, and then we will address them by way of inbox message and so forth. So what I would like to go into now is talking about an action plan. So we've talked about betting on you. We've talked about some of the barriers that one can that maybe face or have to overcome. But I would like to talk about like how are we creating an action plan? Like once you've just made the decision, you've laid it out. What's the plan of action?
Honestly, here's where I write everything out now. So, and I didn't used to do that.
Okay.
I kind of took that from you, and since he's watching Mark, Mark is the king of, okay, so send me what you're gonna do, and I'm like, you're not, boss. you don't control me. And you too, you do the same thing. You're like, okay, well, I've written this out, and here's my spreadsheet and data, and I'm like, oh, it was just in my mind. Apparently, I need to write this out and make it plain. And so I remember last year, I think it was the first year that you got me to do a vision board. Was it last year or the year before that? 2 years ago. Jamila started me on this whole vision board. And let me just be honest, for the years, I'm like, I'm going to take a magazine, cut it up, glue pictures on it, for what? Like, I didn't.
But I made it look like furniture, so.
She did. She made it really nice, and she added a lot of razzmatazz to it. But I think when you look at something every day, it keeps it fresh on your mind. So for years, I'd be like, oh, I want to do this, and I want this house, or I want this, this job. I want to make this, or I want to travel more. Well, when you don't see it every day, you forget that this was something you want to do. So instead of saving that coin for that cruise you want to take, you out here buying handbags because you've forgotten that it was something that you wanted to do for the year. Then you find yourself in December, like, I ain't went on one cruise. I haven't even gotten on a boat. Like, I haven't even been near water all year. And so I think the vision board is nice, like being able to see it every day, writing it on your mirrors. I'm the queen of writing stuff on my mirror in dry erase marker. And so even if it's not a picture, I'm seeing every day, I choose to be debt free in 2019. And so every day that I get up and look in the mirror, it's the first thing that I see. So it's constantly on my mind. It's kind of putting it in my subconscious.
Oh, we have a response. I want to read this.
Okay.
So we asked the question to the Facebook Live audience, what is one thing that keeps you from betting on you? And one of our responses was lack of confidence, or that they have certain information and they still don't feel like they're adequate enough to do it. One has been starting over from scratch after divorce. I'm going to let Shatara speak to that because I feel like you could give Cara something.
Yeah, Cara, it's a hard one, but it can be done, let me tell you. And if I have to be honest, it is one of the hardest things that I've had to do, especially when you have children. And so it makes it to where you have to be very intentional in, one, who you have in your life, two, the spaces you choose to dwell in, because that matters.
Yeah.
So for me, I couldn't be around people, honestly, I couldn't be around other women that are going through a divorce. I couldn't, because it kept me in a negative place and I couldn't see my way out.
Right.
I needed to be around people who are, one, single and thriving and loving their singleness and happy. And so I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can be this.
Right.
I need to see what I want to become.
Okay. And that kind of goes to the plan, right? That goes to the point that we just made. Like, you have to have a plan. Like, once you've made a decision, okay, I am divorced, but I know that there's life after this.
Yeah.
And I want to be happy. And so you intentionally put yourself in environments that will cultivate those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I mean? And so that's imperative that you do that. And it's like, when I say, okay, your plan is I want to be debt-free in 2019. So I would assume that you're being very conscious about how you spend your money, when you spend your money, what activities you will or you will not participate in, right? Because it's a daily reminder.
Yeah, and I've been conscious about my friends who blow money. That's why I hang with her, because she don't.
I don't blow money.
No, this is the queen of budgeting. And so I'm very conscious. Like, my friends that I know that just like to spend money and go shopping and go out all the time, like we're always in somebody's mall, I don't hang with them. In this moment, I'm not hanging with them. Because if I do, I will be doing what they're doing. And I'll be like, man, I didn't even need these shoes.
Yeah.
I didn't need this perfume. I got 8 bottles at home. And so I tend to, whatever it is I want to be or become, that's the circle I dwell in for that time period. Now, I'm not saying you got to push all your people away forever. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are times where you have to reevaluate where you are and where you want to be.
Yeah.
And engulf yourself in that. If you want to be rich, you may not want to hang out with your broke friends.
You probably
Just
don't,
saying.
because they don't know how to get you there. Like, I'll say this, and we're nearing the close of our time, so I want to say this. I will tell you, in 2017, it was probably one of the hardest years of my adult life. And my plan was to not be in a sunken place. I didn't want to be miserable. I didn't want to be unhappy. And I didn't want to make everybody around me happy. And what I had to learn to exercise was shut mouth grace. I don't know how many books I bought that year. I bought so much literature. I was highlighting, I was writing, and I was engulfing myself in wisdom because I wanted to be positioned to have better responses than I had in the past. Because to say that you're in a position because of what everybody else did to you and not take ownership for what you did or how you contributed is foolishness.
Yeah.
And so one thing that I know, that although I may be slow to words, sometimes my words can be very harsh and they can cut. And so I was cutting, and people that I love were bleeding because of my inability to control my delivery. And so I had to make a plan to be wise in what I said and how I said it. Do I get it right all the time? No. Am I better than what I was? I venture to say yes, that I am, because I will chew on a piece of gum like that. People laugh, but I say that all the time. Like, I am the queen of gum, or something that I can chew to minimize the idea of saying something out of turn, you know. And so I want to say, whatever it is that you have to do in this season, it's imperative that you choose you, and make sure, like we mentioned at the top of the show, that you address your why. Because at the point where there's a conviction of why you're choosing you, you will continue to do so. You'll silence out anything that's a deterrent, and you'll continue to thrive and continue to push forward, which is imperative. Like, I don't want to hear another thing about a vision board party or a goals list with no action. because you're just setting yourself up for the ultimate failure, and
Yeah.
you're gonna look back and be like, I have queen of Amazon books, but it's just one of those things that you have to make a conscious decision. And if you're gonna spend the money, spend it on what's making you better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or if you're gonna spend the time, spend it with people who are making you better, because those are all resources that you can't get back. And sometimes betting on you means being by yourself. Sometimes you gotta relearn you, become acclimated with you.
Yeah, that's true.
Because at some point you become so inundated with what everybody else thought and what everybody else feels that you forgot who you were at your core. And in that season, I remembered who I was at the core. And it was a very vulnerable place. It was a place that was lonely at times. Like, I felt like I couldn't talk to a lot of people because I was just gonna cry if I did. It was just a very dark place. And for me, I had to remember that as long as you don't know you, what they say about you will be easily received, even if it's wrong, because you don't have anything to counter it with. So I just want us to remember that. And I want to ask you one question before we go. But what is fueling your dream?
So for me, I've said it several times throughout this night, the why.
Okay.
The why fuels my dream, because my why is connected to my consistency to drive to do more and do better. When I can say, okay, Shatira, here is what you want to do, and here is why, I won't forget it. I will not be starting with the how. Because if you can't explain why you want to do it, you're never going to do it. The how doesn't matter if you can't explain the why.
I agree.
Like, there's definitely, a system to that.
Yeah.
And so the why for me drives me. As long as I can answer why, I'm good.
Yeah, I think that I probably would have to copy that, because if I don't have an understanding of what is happening, I'm reluctant to do it. Like, I ask the questions, and people are like, "Girl, you ask so many questions." I ask the questions, and because the answers are information for me, and it becomes like a safety net for me. Like, I want to have a conclusion and a resolve. Jamila, we always have a journal prompt. Yes, some people don't journal. It's fine. I do. I want you to ask yourself, what's fueling your dream? Like, you have set some resolutions, you have made some determinations about some things that you want to do better in 2019. But I would like you to ask yourself, what is the driver of that? And once you've made that determination, come up with some strategy. How are you going to make this sustainable? Because I think that when we have a vision and we have a plan, it should actually outlast 12 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's make some life goals. Like, you want to be a healthier version of you, or you want to be an entrepreneur, or you want to be a homemaker, or whatever it is that you wish to do, you endeavor to do. Address the what's fueling that, and is that coming from you, or is it coming from an outside influence? And once you start to look at those things, I think we will jot down and maybe almost narrow down some of what we aspire to do.
Right.
Because once we look at, is this really me, or is this everybody's expectation of me? You become more centered and more focused on who you are, and what you're looking to do will become sustainable. Before we go, I want to say thank you so much for being here today, Shatira. I really appreciate you being here. My tribe is imperative to me. Y'all can't hear or see him, but my husband is also in the studio with me. Thank you for being here. These are people who are like, you're gonna do this, keep it pushing. We're not gonna let you not do your thing. So I appreciate them for being here. I don't know what's happening. He may or may not want to speak. I don't know. He's saying no, but thank you. I appreciate you, because they were like, you're doing this, so get over it. And so here we are. And also to all the people who have been on this journey with me via Facebook Live for the last 2 years and now on radio, thank you guys. you guys don't have to let me into your space. You don't have to lend your ears to me. So I'm very appreciative to you. We will continue to do this on a bi-weekly basis. The next show will be on January 24th at 7:30 p.m. We want to leave you with a quote from Warren Buffett, and it says, invest or bet in what you know. And you know you better than anybody. So at the end of the day, when you think to bet on you, do it because you know you better than anyone else. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night. Bye. Okay, great. And we're done. It is finished.
It is finished.
It is finished. Thank you.
You just move location.
Right? Now we gotta push your traffic here.
Yeah, you just move location. You just have microphone. Like you're sitting in the office.
Oh, I am standing up and all that. All that.
This is not off yet.